Did you give up on them? That's why they're scared, obsessed, pretending like they're not, though. But they have shown signs that really what's going on is they're rushing in like this. There could be distance between you. All of a sudden, maybe you heard from this person, and that's a big deal to hear from them at all. Or you heard something weird. That's probably the likely case. Or they posted a story. If this is for you, you know who it is. It doesn't have to be romantic. But it's someone who is pretty upset that you don't care that they removed themselves. You called their bluff or something. You also made them look kind of not so smart to their friends. It really didn't take much. This person maybe thought they had the upper hand, thought they had something on you. Oh, they never did. They never did. Oh, Ha, that's funny. Not noble. You need to move on. Their plan backfired. That's what happened. They were trying to manipulate you. Some kind of plan completely backfired. Like I said, you called their bluff. Sometimes you just have to say, I've had enough of this. They act like they're not seeing it, but they're seeing it. Even more distance may be required. Yeah. Let's see. Haha, that's funny. Hiding. Narcissist vibes. Emotionally exhausted, and they're very ashamed. Very ashamed of how they treated you. You must have said something on the way out that made them realize, made them see their behavior through a different lens. Suddenly they realized that you were not as into this as they thought. You were willing to walk away. They didn't know you were willing to walk away. Sometimes you gotta be. Always be willing to walk away from any situation. Otherwise, they have control over you. Let's go to the Spill Tea Oracle deck for a minute. Shattered. That's what I just got. Someone is shattered, shook, twisted. Oh, incapable. I just got incapable. Okay, this is funny. Pretending to be fine. Look, and pretending not to care. Incapable of showing feelings. That's why that came out. They're really locked up emotionally. True narcissist. Like someone who is stuck at a very immature emotional level. Could be full grown adult. Could even be pretty old, honestly. They're just now seeing the consequences of some of their actions. Just now realizing, oh no, did I really mess up to this extent? Is this how I make people feel? You reflected their behavior back to them. Pushing boundaries. And it probably happened when they tried to push your boundaries, huh? That's why they're pretending not to care. Because they thought they could do that. They're really ashamed. And now they're ashamed of their behavior because looking back, they're like, oh, okay. I was never really in charge here. It was really me all along. I was the problem. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying you're ever going to get an apology, but this person's thinking. And that's big, okay? And that's what you need to know. And you need to take comfort in that. They may never completely change, but you've made a big dent here, okay? Focus on yourself, though. It doesn't really matter what they think, really. Don't worry about it. Everybody's just a test anyway, okay? Don't lose sleep over this, whatever you do. Okay, all this came out. Inner conflict, authentic self, new alliances, the real story, public exposure, testing limits, push and pull. You see, someone got really scared of public exposure, huh? Because they knew you had something on them. And it doesn't have to be public as far as like social media, but just public. Public enough that someone saw it. You were being your authentic self the whole time. The real story did come out. That's what happened. Push and pull. This is like a real, okay, didn't this come out? Yeah, inner conflict. That's about this person. Seriously, they're so locked up inside. Push and pull. Like they so want to come out with it and tell you how they feel in a way, but wow, so many years, maybe not even that long. For some of you, it might just be a few months. For them, it's much deeper. Like maybe your involvement with them is only a few months. Like some of you might be this person's employee. A sense of like a long-term, emotionally unstable relationship here, possibly even a job. Like somebody who worked you too hard, took advantage, maybe didn't even pay you, maybe changed you to salary when you should have been hourly and then really took advantage after that. Someone who didn't realize, someone who did not know exactly how hard you were working. until you left because you made it look easy, because you, uh, gosh, that's the whole thing. That's okay. That's exactly it. That's why you were willing to walk away. That's what this person learned. They learned that you were willing to put up with way too much. Oh no. Oh, that's a hard one. Those of us who've been in that situation, we didn't know what we were capable of until somebody threw it at us. The fact that you survived that situation, because what's funny to me is I can look back over my life, and we all could. Like, I've got times where people would say, "Oh no, she's not capable of doing anything, whatever." Well, you don't know what somebody's capable of, you know? People catch you at a weird moment, but that's who you are to them, right? That's what I mean. This person might have thought you were one way. Turns out the whole time you were just putting up with something that you really didn't have to put up with. They pushed your boundaries for the last time. Look, embrace the new alliances if they align with your spirit, with your goals. Don't let them derail you. This was derailment, but it taught you something. I really am getting that, and this is really bad. Not really, I shouldn't say that. This is really difficult to talk about, but it's good. This is the kind of stuff that really tests you as a person, puts you through the fire. And at the end, you're like, whoa, what was left? You have to go through this stuff in life, but it's over. You don't have to take it. And for some, maybe you didn't go through this directly, but you're watching someone else go through it. You're supporting someone else emotionally, being their friend, therapist, whatever. That can be hard. I know. I've had friends who have gone through things that were so emotionally overwhelming that going through it with them just felt like trauma, you know? Like, people don't realize at times, it's like you might just be on the outside of it, but they can't be dragging you into this all the time. And I've probably done it to people myself and not realized, like, because I was going through something. But people have done it to me as well. This person doesn't realize how much you've been putting up with over a very long period of time. People will often try to put it back on you and say, you should have spoken up for yourself. Why didn't you speak up earlier? Unfortunately, sometimes people won't let you speak up. Sometimes you did speak up. And the only thing that would stick is when things erupted into anger. Like, they wouldn't listen to you. Like, maybe you calmly said, look, this is going to happen. I don't want this to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Look, I've been through that, even at the workplace. Just for today. Okay. You know, I'm getting Wilson Phillips. Hold on for one more day. Oh, you can. You're just about there. Okay. Prepare as though you're out of it, because you're getting out of this. Whatever it is, you've reached your limit. And now that you've decided, you're gone. Okay. You're gone. It's okay. You've decided. And that's step one, is deciding. Once you've decided it, look, it's one of those things where sometimes you got to get pushed to the breaking point between a rock and a hard place before you're like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do what I got to do. As long as it aligns with you spiritually, as long as it doesn't cause harm to somebody else unnecessarily. I'm not saying don't speak up for yourself. I just mean don't unnecessarily just go through causing damage, you know? But anyway, see, I worked at this place where everybody kept complaining to the boss about this person, okay? Everybody. I had to sit down with him about it. I told him very specific things. I said, this is why we were behind, because this happened, this happened, this happened. And I wasn't the only one with these stories. She just wasn't very good at her job. The problem was she came across as a nice person, and there were certain things she did within the company where she knew how to deal with other departments, you know? Like, there was this one thing she did that was kind of her saving grace. And that's kind of common too in corporate America. I've seen this a lot, actually. So because of that, because so many people in the company liked her, and probably, yeah, I mean, she had friends in the higher up positions. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? They just kind of strung her along until something happened, okay? Oh, this is funny. I hadn't thought about this in so long. I'm glad it wasn't me, but it was getting to a boiling point, because when you can't do your job and you're under a deadline, because it was a thing where we had to all get our jobs done, like, separately, but at the same time, okay? And certain things relied on each other. One day, all of a sudden, I hear my other coworker, who used to like this employee, by the way, we were all on the same level. Someone who was just arguing on her behalf a few weeks earlier was now screaming. And you don't usually hear that. And this was not someone who would usually lose her composure. So immediately, boss comes running out. Everything stops because this one coworker is screaming at another coworker. And oh my gosh, usually And we're talking about an office environment, a white collar environment. Okay. This doesn't usually happen. And it's one of those things where if it does happen, you got to ask yourself as a manager, why did it happen? Because we had all been complaining about her. We're under a deadline. We're stressed. We got other stuff to do. And there's this woman totally making your job hard. And you're relying on her to do her part so you can do your part. Well, it came to a head. And then all of a sudden, I'll never forget the manager. He was like, yeah, my eyes were closed before, but now they are stapled wide open. Anyway, that's the turning point that happened. Like, even that coworker I just mentioned who went off, I'm sorry, because it could have been me. It could have been any number of us. That's how bad it was. Because when you've gone to the boss over and over and over, you really cannot expect people, human beings, to not lose it after a while. So if it came to that point, and I'm not saying lose it in the workplace, please don't, especially these days with social media. I'm just saying certain people and certain high pressure situations can make you want to lose it. And if it's getting to that point, it's time for something to change. And this does not have to apply to corporate. Something has to change. Like, in fact, I ended up leaving that job not too long after. Not directly related to her, but the same manager who didn't want to listen, put it that way. And that employee did end up leaving eventually. She kind of got ousted. She just made too many mistakes finally, and they had to get rid of her. Anyway, somebody needed to hear that. That's what I mean. Sometimes high pressure situations turn an otherwise docile, nice person into that. And I didn't blame this woman at all, this coworker. I did not blame her one bit. I hope nobody in management reprimanded her for screaming because it was coming. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but we had all tried. We were beating our heads against a wall with this woman. And anyway, nothing to fear. That's what I'm saying. It's just time for you to move on. Be reliable somewhere else. You can't keep going on like this. Last card. That energy, so familiar. You are thankful for the abundance that always flows your way. Don't worry where it's coming from. And I'm not saying quit a job. No, no, no. I'm just saying manifest something better. It's coming. Don't be afraid to look. Because once your mind makes that decision, that's when you start going and looking for opportunities. Like me, like certain things happened and I was like, I'm going to get another job. And I did, So you just got to be open to opportunities and be thankful for the abundance. Whatever happened, let that be a period on the end of a sentence. Okay. Everything else from here forward is with different intent, with a different focus, like pointing an arrow in a new direction. Don't be afraid. You're not stuck in this. Be grateful. Just let the abundance flow, and it will. You are thankful for the abundance that always flows your way. It is spoken, it is written, and so it is. Amen.